give me one of those. Okay. Oh, you don't make a motion to deny. I didn't know that either.
Okay, and then if you don't second it, you just stay quiet.
You don't have to second it.
Well, I said yes, and then when we voted, I said no. So that was wrong, I think.
You could do it either way. Yeah.
That seems simple.
No, we could. Do I hear a motion to deny? All right. You know what? I'm going to run to the lake. All right. Let's start. Good evening. It's August 25th at 7:05 p.m. The Braintree Zoning Board of Appeals is called to order. Let's see. We are going to take the agenda out of order tonight. We will follow the order of new business first. Then we will do petition 25-1573 Beechwood Road under old business. And then we will do petition number 25-14, 1139 and 1151 Washington Street. That will be the order tonight. Let's see. We have the Planning and Community Development Director, Peter Matchek, here tonight. We have Zoning Planner, Jonathan Dickinson, and we also have Attorney Carolyn Murray from KP Law. The ZBA members present, Raina Rubin is here tonight, Chair, Jose Perez, Vice Chair, Angela Kavanaugh as Clerk, and Tom Kleber as the alternate. Let's see. We'll do the minutes last today. Okay. All right, let's see. The first new business item is petition 2518, 60 Forbes Road. I think the clerk will read the legal.
Petition 2518, 60 Forbes Road. Robert Tuttle of Northeast Neon Company, applicant for relief from Braintree zoning ordinance pursuant to chapters 135, section 407, and 135, section 904.2, to construct a 28.25 foot by 2.346 foot, totaling 66.3 square feet, wall sign. The applicant seeks a variance as the total aggregate square footage of all wall signs exceeds the allowable 150 square feet.
Is the applicant present here tonight? Would you like to come on up?
Hello, thank you for your time.
Oh, before you start, I'll just make note that all ZBA members present tonight will be sitting on this matter. Go
Okay.
ahead.
So we're asking for a variance for the second sign that's going to be parking lot facing. And the design was made based on the previous
Excuse me.
tenants.
Oh, say your name and address.
Oh, I'm so sorry. My name is Walter Di Carvalho. I am the GC working with the applicant.
Thank you.
No problem. Okay,
Go
sorry.
ahead, continue. Thank you.
We're looking for a variance to install the parking lot facing sign in front of the building. We designed the building as per the previous tenant sign, which they had one street facing and one parking lot facing.
So, clarify, originally they were smaller signs, or there were several signs that were approved under a different business, but now the signs are different in that they're larger too?
Yeah, so previously the location was a Fridays, and then we did a tenant fit out for Tavern in the Square. And so the sign is not only changing from Fridays to Tavern, they're also getting bigger.
Is there a reason why they're bigger? Is it
A bigger logo.
a bigger logo?
Yeah, I have some pictures. I don't know if it was attached to the application that I'm happy to share.
I did drive by, I took a look. They're big.
Yeah.
Do any of the members have some questions or clarifications that you would like to ask the applicant? Member Perez?
Thank you. So the one facing the parking area, is that the only sign that you guys will be
So
placing?
I'm under the
Just two.
impression that the street-facing one was already approved.
Okay.
We're asking for the variance to install the parking lot-facing one. So the street one is actually already installed. You can drive by and see it.
On the other side.
It's the one that's on the T. So
Okay.
if you can see it on the
Okay.
application. The one that's on the straight paneling has already been installed. It's the one on the T that's facing the parking lot that we're filing for a variance.
Would you like to ask a question?
There's two signs here. There's a larger one and a smaller one. It looks like the variance you're requesting is for the smaller of the two signs. Is the smaller of the two signs the one that's facing the parking lot, or is that the one that is facing the street?
So the street sign is the larger of the two, and then this one is directly across from Jared. I don't know if you're familiar with the area.
So one for advertising as people are driving by, and another so people
It's like
know where to
location-wise,
walk in.
Correct. Yeah, it's right over the front door. That's where the front entrance is.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you have a question? Member Kavanaugh?
Just to clarify what you asked, the staff report says that there were 3 wall signs at the previous business.
Hi, Jonathan Dickinson, zoning planner. Yes, the TGI Fridays previously had 3 wall signs approved through the Zoning Board of Appeals, and the 3 signs did not equal the greater than 150 total square feet aggregate. However, the proposed applicant has one previous tavern on the square approved sign through the building department, and this one is the other sign that is needs a variance because of the size. Correct.
I'd like another question. Is there a reason why you can't just make the second sign smaller so that it fits with the total? Because, I mean, you kind of have 2 entrances, but one is definitely bigger than the other, more prominent.
So the total allowed is, can you remind me how much?
I'm sorry, what?
Can you remind me how much the total allowed is? 150?
150.
So the existing sign is roughly 3 by 32, so that already puts us at 96. So we would have to shrink the size significantly in order to make it fall within the required. And that's my understanding to why shrinking it to make it fit would kind of defeat the purpose of being like, hey, this is the main entrance. Does that make sense?
I guess, I'm trying to envision the main entrance.
I have a comment.
Member Kavanaugh?
I do think that, as you put in your application, that it's important to have, obviously, it's important to have a sign on that side because you wouldn't be able to see it coming from one direction. And, I mean, I don't know if it's highway business there. I mean, people are going to be seeing this from a main road. I don't think you want it too small. That's a bad enough street as it is, so I think being clearer is better in that location, personally.
So you're okay. Member Perez, did you have a comment you want to add?
So 7 square feet is the difference between what's allowed and what you guys want? So that's the difference?
Yeah.
Okay.
Roughly, yeah.
Member Kleber, were you?
No further questions.
Oh, okay. The reason I'm doing this, just so you know, is that way he can control the mics a little better because there's a little delay between us. So just in case anybody wonders why I'm being so formal, it's to help with the cable folks. So, it is a little bit of an unusual location. It is kind of like 2 streets, and 2 fronts, as opposed to just like as if it were one street. The road takes a bend, so it is a little unusual in that way in terms of topography. Because you understand a variance has to be based on some kind of a hardship or something unusual, not just because it's the size of your logo.
Fair, fair. That's fair.
I do also think it's worth, sorry.
Member Kavanaugh.
I do also think it's worth noting that the scale of it within the space is a little smaller than the scale of it on the other side. So I think already they're taking that into consideration by not having it be the same size as the one facing, the other direction. So
So you're
I
okay
do,
with it?
I do feel like they took that into consideration.
Okay. How are you feeling, Member Perez? Are you inclined to support this?
Yeah. I don't see why not.
Thank you.
Okay, it's a little unusual. I think, oh yeah, I'm sorry, are there public comments? Is there anyone from the public? I don't think we received letters on this. I didn't see any. Okay. Okay, would gentlemen like to let him come up and speak? Introduce yourself, name and address, please.
Good evening, Madam Chair, Board. My name is Patrick Mulcairn. I live at 12 Ellery Street. I'd like to say I oppose this variance. My opinion, if you want a variance on signage, maybe don't do one of the two signs and expect us to just let you do what you want to do, because that's what it seems like is happening. They have a billboard facing the road. That could have been a whole lot smaller, and they could have had two even signs, in my opinion. That whole strip, it's starting to look like Somerville to me. I don't think we need to have any more flashy lights in there. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I have a question. Are there any flashing lights?
No, no flashing lights. It's
I didn't see any, so.
yeah, LED based on a timer.
It's backlit?
Yep.
Yeah.
Explain that.
Member Kavanaugh?
Can you explain that what do you mean by on a timer?
So the backlit sign is only scheduled to be on during operating hours.
And what are the operating hours?
11 to 3 on weekends, and then 11 to, I believe, is 1 on weekdays.
Yes, Mr. Dickinson?
Through the chair to the applicant, are you saying 3 a.m.?
Correct.
Okay, the signs are not allowed to be lit between 1 a.m. and 6 a.m.
Okay. So then we'll have
What
the
did-
timer until 1 a.m. That's an adjustment we can make.
Does Mr. Maycheck have a question or comment?
No, I'm just a little, I'm processing.
I was going to say, I don't know if things are open till 3 a.m., but here. Are there any other comments? Any other comments from the applicant?
No, ma'am.
Do we want to have a motion to close the public hearing? Would you like to make a motion to close the public hearing?
Yep. My motion to close?
Okay, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? I don't think it was all of us. All right, so what are you guys inclined to do? You want to approve this, or? This is our deliberation time. What are you thinking?
Only 7 square feet.
It's only 7 square feet, is
Yeah.
that what you're saying? You
Yeah.
don't think do you think there's a hardship? Do you think this is enough of a unusual situation that we could,
I mean, it is a business zone,
yeah? But it is
so
a
who is it
variance.
really affecting?
Well, it's a variance. What do you think, Member Kavanaugh? I also understand, I think that the zoning bylaws are in the process of being considered for modification. I don't know, it seems to me that your timing's a little off, but, given that it would it might very well be allowed under the new bylaw, but we don't know that yet, of course.
I don't have a calculator on me, but if the sign got smaller, if the height was less than, if it was 2 feet, does anyone have a calculator?
On the phone? Yeah.
No, I left my phone.
No, but he does. What do you
I'm
want?
just wondering if it got shorter, if it would then fit within the allowable What did you say it was, 7 square foot?
Can I ask Jonathan?
Member
and-
Perez.
yeah,
Yep.
Can I ask Jonathan the question?
Sure.
When it comes to square feet, are we looking at the font, or are we looking at the actual size of the sign?
The size of the sign, so it's the
Okay.
whole
Yeah,
outside, not
okay.
just the,
So even going a
Lip
little bit
part.
smaller doesn't really, the font being a little bit smaller doesn't really do anything. Right?
If the letters are on a channel and they shorten it, then that whole square foot would shorten. But if it was on a full backlit, but they changed the letters and it was attached, then it would be the whole thing and it wouldn't change. So it depends on how they're attaching it to the building.
Right.
I can clarify if you want.
Yeah,
Each
go ahead.
individual letter is backlit. There's no backlit to the sign. Each letter is just backlit. So I
Okay.
don't know how that changes the calculation.
Okay.
somebody want to make a motion, or do we want to consider? I'm sorry, we closed the public hearing, so we're not, on this particular matter.
I thought I proposed, but I
Sorry, we voted on that.
I mean, I would say make it a nice square number and just reduce it to 2-foot height. Is that something that, am I even?
So it would have to be reduced proportionally. So if you lose the height, you would also lose in width.
Yep.
Yeah,
It's an option.
I just don't know the math on that.
well,
Yeah.
the thing is this, if, you may want to consider that and take that back, because if we vote and it's denied, you won't be able to come back on it. If you would like to continue or anything like that, you want to consider that?
So
Oh, excuse me? Member Dickinson, yes?
Madam Chair, my proposal is to continue to the next hearing so you can get the calculations and come up with a proposal to see if they would be willing to shorten it by 2 square feet.
Yeah, that's,
So
I
that way we
think-
get the numbers correct.
Yeah, I would suggest that.
okay.
Okay, do we need a motion to continue? Would you like to make a motion to continue this to the next hearing?
I motion
Member
to
Perez.
continue this to the next hearing.
All in favor?
Aye.
I think you need to sign a form
Okay.
with staff.
Form with us, just to continue to the next meeting, but we can do that, and then obviously we'll work with the applicant to get the numbers squared away, which I believe Member Kavanaugh was alluding to.
Yes,
Madam
Attorney
Chair, if
Murray?
you could also just clarify too, you've moved to continue this to your next hearing, but you should actually announce what the date of that hearing is.
September 29th.
What did, the date of the next public hearing, September
29th.
29th. Thank you. Actually, I should probably write that down.
That's it. Thanks so
All
much
right.
for the opportunity and time.
Thank you. What's next? We're going to move on to the next item under new business. We're going to open the hearing for petition number 25-19, Lot 2B Graziano Drive. Ask the clerk to read the legal. Sorry. It's the one at the bottom.
Okay. Petition number 2519, Lot 2B, Graziano Drive, map 1044, Lot 2X. Frank A. and Catherine A. Graziano, applicant for relief from Braintree zoning ordinance pursuant to Chapters 135, Section 407, 135, Section 609, and 135, Section 701 for lot coverage of 27.7%, where 20% is allowed, and for open space of 72.3%, where is required in support of the construction of a single-family dwelling. The property is located at Lot 2B, Graziano Drive, Zone Residence B, and within the Watershed Protection Overlay District.
Give me that one with my notes, I'll give you the clean one. I will make note that all ZBA members present tonight are sitting on this matter, and invite the applicant to come up and introduce himself.
Thank you. For the record, Madam Chairman, my name is Carl Johnson, and I represent the petitioners Frank A. and Catherine A. Graziano in their request for relief as indicated from the impervious surface coverage and open space requirement of the Watershed Protection District 135609C5 and Section 135701 for open space. Present with me this evening are the petitioners in the second row, Frank and Catherine Graziano, and their son Lawrence Graziano, who is a builder and will be building this house on the lot. Paul G. Gunn, a PE in the firm of Morse Engineering Company of Scituate. Mr. Gunn will discuss the engineering plan and the exhibits, namely what was submitted with the application, a site plan of existing conditions, soil test data from the test pits taken on site, and a stormwater narrative, which is an affidavit as to the central elements of the variance request. The elements of the variance, the first thing, I included a lot of material, and I didn't mean to get in so deeply, but it was submitted to Jonathan Dickinson for his analysis of the analysis and preparation of the staff report, and also will be testified to by Mr. Gunn. A reference to a ZBA case number 02-11, that's 2002 case 11, which is a petition of Frank and Catherine Graziano to subdivide 48,350 square foot lot into 3 lots, being the subject lot, lot 2A, B, and C. Each of those exceeded the requirements for a Residence B lot requirement. The determinations that were made by the Zoning Board of Appeals at that time, when they granted relief for the lot variance size, the board determined that owing to the circumstances related to the shape and topographical conditions of the 3 lots, but not affecting the Watershed B district generally, that a literal enforcement of the bylaw would involve a substantial hardship related to the property and to the petitioners. 2, that the lot size were compatible with the existing developed lots on Graziano Drive in the neighborhood. And 3, that the site does not contribute to the town's water supply and therefore did not substantially derogate from the intent and purpose of the bylaw. I want to point out that this location, the Watershed Protection Bylaw, was adopted in 1982, and it was, I'll get into that a little bit in the beginning, but has been challenged many times. I know this is the board's first time with an experience on this, this bylaw, but since that time there has been a change in technology and a lot of other stormwater management requirements that have been adopted by the state as well as DEP. The site conditions, you will note from the test pits, which will be testified again by Mr. Gunn in a moment. There were 4 on-site test pits at different locations and elevations in Lot 2B. Were conducted and the soils evaluated again by Mr. Gunn. That revealed that there's sandy loam soils, the upper horizon consisting of sandy, loomy sand. This site was part of this particular site was part of an 11-acre farm that was adjacent to some other land that was owned by the Grazianos. It's been in the Graziano family since 1914, and it's been passed down generationally. Catherine and Frank Graziano acquired it in 1987, and again, they came before the Board of Appeals in 2002 for the relief from lot size, which was justified. There was testimony at that meeting from engineer Robert Daler that proved that this site is down gradient from the reservoirs so that any water that would inhibit it. The goal of this was to protect, allegedly to protect drinking water, recharge, and infiltrate and recharge soil. This didn't matter because the flow went down to the Manadoquet River past the site at 1157 Washington Street, the Washington Streets, which you'll hear the Manadoquet River, and flowed that way to the ocean. It did not flow back into the Rishardi Reservoir or any other drinking water source. The shape of the lot is slightly skewed rectangle. The back lot line is off a little bit, but the largest condition that affects the statute in meeting the criteria for variance is the topographic conditions and on-site grades that create an actual hardship to the land and significantly impact the lot. The lot slopes diagonally across from the rear, across the site to the rear. The high point is elevation 129 in the northeast corner of the lot, and the low point is elevation 120 at the southeast corner of the site. The proposed conditions require regrading portions of the site, particularly the southerly side of the lot adjacent to Lot 2C. Regrading with stepped elevations from 126 to 120 is required to construct the single-story dwelling house, attached garage, driveway, and to install the Caltech subsurface stormwater system that will be testified to. The lot fronts on Graziano Drive, slopes from elevation 128 to 122 over the 100 feet of frontage. The topographical slopes and grades create a hardship to the land in the placement of the house and attached garage in the driveway. Unlike other measurements, this is not just open space or not just lot coverage. This is impervious surface coverage, which takes up a lot more, so it increases the requirement. You should know that the Residence B standard is that you can have coverage 70%, and you're required only to have 30% open space. This reverses that. This requires 20% of impervious coverage and 80% of open space, which is unprecedented, and as it applies to what has gone on in the town has not been enforced to any extent. We submitted copies of elevations of the house, which we'll go over in a minute. If you don't have plans, I have extra ones that you may look at, but I just want to point out the house is a single-story or 1.5-story Mediterranean ranch style house, which is architecturally designed, meets all the regulations, dimensional and density regulations for Residence B. Submitted with the application was a lengthy summary and reasons for relief, which I've just tried to highlight, but it goes on for 3 or 4 pages. I won't keep the board's attention because it deals with some other matters, the history of the site and so forth. There was a background memorandum of site history and plans and documents that was submitted with the application. Again, it was principally for the zoning planner so he could understand the site. The professional engineer, Paul Gunn, will now testify to the existing condition site plan, the analysis of the soil permit, and importantly, the stormwater narrative that offsets the area coverage by an infiltration system of 2,870 square feet or 17% that will effectively reduce the 7% excess. Right now it's at 27.2 and 20 required, in that it will meet the 20% coverage. I want to point out, I have to thank Mr. Dickinson, because in some of our meetings he came up with a suggestion, which we were talking about doing stormwater, that we should do some calculations that will effectively meet the bylaw, and that's what we've done. Mr. Gunn.
Hello, everyone. Just again for the record, my name is Paul Gunn. I'm a civil engineer with Morse Engineering, here to give some technical testimony regarding the stormwater proposed on Graziano Way in regards to the variance application. So as was previously mentioned, the topography on site slopes from the north to the south between the two side lot lines. There's about a 9-foot difference between those two extremes from about elevation 129 to 120, resulting in a fairly steep slope that goes parallel to Graziano Way. Currently, there's no stormwater infrastructure in place on the lot, so stormwater flows overland to the south untreated. Soil conditions on site were evaluated from 2 different sources, the first being the Soils Conservation Service mapping, which shows the area as Woodbridge Fine Sandy Loam. That evaluation was cross-referenced with an on-site soil evaluation by a registered soil evaluator that found the A and B horizons composed of loamy sand and then the C horizon composed of sandy loam. It also showed a groundwater table, a seasonal high groundwater table ranging between 36 and 70 inches depending on how high you were on the lot. The soils from that soil evaluation would indicate that the lot is suitable for a stormwater recharge system using a Rawls infiltration rate of 1.02 inches per hour. The project proposes impervious areas from 2 sources, the first being the dwelling and then the paved driveway. All impervious areas are proposed to be collected and recharged and sent to this stormwater system. Conveyance via the driveway will be through a catch basin, whereas the dwelling will be collected through a conventional gutter and downspout collection system. All of these will be sent to a recharge system that would include a subsurface Caltech chamber system embedded in crushed stone and then wrapped in filter fabric. The system was designed with adequate separation to the seasonal high groundwater table and also took into consideration other requirements regarding drawdown and mounding analysis. The system provides 1,270 cubic feet of recharge to the groundwater table during the 100-year storm, the storm which was modeled after Braintree requirements for the NOAA Atlas 14, which is about 9 inches over 24 hours, and would offset an impervious area of 1,770 square feet. This nets an effective impervious coverage, as was previously mentioned, of 17.1% of lot area. The system is furthermore designed to provide peak rate attenuation, meaning we are lowering the stormwater rate below existing conditions. We're also providing groundwater recharge and TSS removal per DEP and Braintree stormwater requirements. Due to groundwater conditions, some grading is required to ensure that the recharge system is installed at a proper elevation above the seasonal high groundwater table, but that grading will maintain existing drainage patterns and will also, across the site, due to the excavation of the foundation, actually result in a net cut of 60 cubic yards. So no fill will be required necessarily to be brought in. In summary, these dry wells have been designed to infiltrate runoff from all the impervious areas on the site, reduce both stormwater rates and volumes, provide recharge well above minimum requirements, and treat a large volume of stormwater that previously left the site untreated. I'll turn it back over to Mr. Johnson.
Thank you.
Madam Chairman, I just want to point out a couple of, this is a rather unique site due to the fact that this was Frank Graziano's ancestral farm and that he worked there as a young man with his grandfather. The soil conditions are sandy loam because this was a farm, all of that downslope that goes down to Kelly Drive, if you know where that is, off of Pond Street. It means so that they did this for many years, that the other 2 lots are going to be to 2 of their sons, one of which is here tonight. He was a builder, Larry Graziano. And so this is keeping something that they've been planning to do for many years. This will be their forever home. They've lived in Braintree virtually all their lives. So that this will benefit, the stormwater treatment on Lot 2B will also benefit the adjacent Lot 2C, which is down gradient of that. It will treat the stormwater, recharge the soil, and inhibit sheet flow of the stormwater that now flows onto the lot, so this will be controlled in accordance with the bylaw. And as pointed out by the zoning planner, that if this is determined necessary, this has been designed so that it can get a stormwater permit from the DPW. And also, if in fact grading permit is required, there'll be, by the building inspector, then there'll have to be a grading permit as well. I have a couple comments about the Watershed Protection District, which I have been fighting since 1982 is inapplicable when I was a selectman, and stopped it once, but it came back again because they promised people that had homes that were built upon prior to 1982 would be treated differently. They could have 50% coverage, which implicitly violates Chapter 40A, Section 4, based upon the uniformity provisions. This bylaw is unequal treatment without a legitimate scientific purpose. It was designed, there was 1998, there was the Cecil Group did the master plan, the last master plan. And his comment about the Watershed Protection District was, stated that the Watershed Protection District's bylaw goal is to restrict growth and to control the demand of water supply rather than to address the inadequate infrastructure that exists. And that's in page 49 if you'd like to reference it. So I would think that since that time, DEP adopted in 2008 regulations for stormwater treatment. Town of Braintree adopted a stormwater, if I might.
Okay, just remember we have I'm hoping that we're able to get
This is a summation that we adopted a chapter in general ordinance, chapter 13, section 14, stormwater management in 2018, and so that it was designed to supplant these things. So I think the point is the same thing that the zoning board determined in 2002 stands there today, and we've effectively met the impervious cover. However, there would still have to be a variance, in my opinion, for both of those, open space and stormwater. And I ask the board to consider it. We've looked at the conditions that was suggested by the zoning plan, and we have no problem.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Are there questions for the applicant or clarifications? Why don't we start with Member Kleber?
Thank you. One question, you referenced a couple of times this is a single-story dwelling, but the architectural diagrams that were provided indicate 2 floors. Can you clarify for me, is this single level, dual level?
No, it's actually 1.5 stories. It's all on one level, but the roof is such that if you look at on one of the side elevations, you can see the roof goes over to the 2-car garage. Originally, a house designer had a much larger structure, and the Grazianos said, you know, this is only for them, so they didn't need, it's not a large structure, but it's well within the height requirements anyway. So I categorized it as a structure and a half. I didn't say it.
Has the applicant considered building a 2-story home that gives you smaller coverage and falls inside the guidance?
No,
Directed.
Yes, certainly. So the roof is being collected via typical gutters to downspouts, and then a subsurface connection via 4-inch PVC to the dry wells. It's actually the driveway that's collected via catch basin at a low point.
Can you point it out
Oh
on
yeah,
there?
absolutely. So,
So it's sloped to there?
yeah,
From
so the driveway is
gutters and the driveway all
Yeah.
go into the same catch basin?
the driveway is graded away from Graziano to a low point, so that runoff can be collected via catch basin, and that'll go via 4-inch PVC to the subsurface dry wells.
Member Perez?
So the garage will be in the back of the house the way it's drawn, right?
that's
Long
correct.
driveway?
That's correct.
Okay.
So under the previous coverage, which was 50/50, this would not have required a variance, is that correct?
Excuse me?
Well, previously, with the older
That's correct.
bylaw, it was a 50/50 coverage, and under that,
Only if the dwelling were constructed prior to 1982.
oh,
So what they did is they said, anything prior to that is grandfathered, per se, and because they didn't do that at first, and on the resubmission, they added, go up to 50% for someone that was already in existence, which really didn't make any sense, because most, these lots, well, I don't want to get in too deep about this, but it was, again, it with a goal and a purpose in that bylaw was, again, done by the water department. They all had to do with the debates we were having about water supply.
yeah, it looks like your your system is actually a benefit, when all is said and done. It's actually going to be a benefit, I think, to the watershed, if I understand correctly. I'm not as much up with all the calculations, but that's kind of how I read, you're going to leave it better than you found it, so to speak.
Yes, it is. I think Paul can answer that, but that's correct.
Did you have a question? Member Perez?
So it'll be a benefit, obviously, to Lot 2B, but you also said it would be a benefit to Lot 2C?
Yes, that's down gradient.
Okay,
Down, the next lot, also owned by the Grazianos,
okay.
is at a lower elevation, so this intercepts that, recharges it, so it does not sheet flow onto that other property. And it goes actually to the rear, I think, more, it's directed.
Does it benefit off their property? Is there any benefit off their
Yes.
property with the streets or anything over there too, in terms of,
Well, the street's equipped with catch basins, but
those are separate?
Yeah, there's a municipal system under
That's it.
Graziano, but we're not discharging anything to that, so. And just in terms of the benefit, yeah, just we're reducing runoff rates and volumes below existing conditions. And when I say existing, I mean a wooded condition. So even if this lot were fully vegetated, we'd be producing less runoff with the size of this dry well system than in a wood condition. Furthermore, we're providing more recharge than existed on site, over 2,700 cubic feet. And we're also providing treatment for stormwater that was previously untreated.
Member Kavanaugh?
Do you want to open it up for public comment?
Are there
thank
members?
you.
Are there members of the public that would like to comment on this project? Any more comments from staff?
The last remaining lot on Graziano?
No, there's three.
There's
Yes,
2B
if
and
that was the
2C.
last remaining lot, but there's three lots, right? And this is
That's
just one
correct.
of
There are
them.
3 lots. This is the middle lot. The upper lot is going to be, Lawrence Graziano is going to build there, and after this event, he's going to put a stormwater control system in his lot as well, so that they can control it. And there are 3 lots in a row that occupy the 48,000 square feet.
Should we close the public hearing part then? I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
Aye, I accept.
Make a motion, seconded,
Second.
all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
So I will mention that I did drive by there. I went with Planning Director Maycheck, and, I will say that what they're proposing fits in with the rest of the neighborhood. They're pretty much this size houses. A lot of the lots look like they might also be undersized, a little bit. So it didn't seem out of scale from what I could tell. And there does seem to be an improvement associated with the watershed and all of that.
I did submit, I don't know if I didn't, just for clarification, I did submit a history of the development on Graziano Drive, and I listed the 6 houses that were next to it and the size of each of them. So this is, as large, if not larger, than those other lots, which were done on the Residence B standard. They weren't under the watershed district.
Yeah, and I was commenting, the houses right across the street are a little smaller, but the other ones in the area are quite large too, so it's not like out of scale. It didn't look out of scale to me. When you drove by, Member Perez, what did you think? What did you see?
I agree. I mean, it's the lots on the right-hand side when you drive down Graziano. It's on the right-hand side, yeah. Yeah. I agree. I don't think it's detrimental to the neighborhood at all.
Didn't think so. Member Kavanaugh, did you have any comments, concerns?
Yeah, I think that the house is nicely designed. It's not oversized necessarily for the lot. And I'm satisfied with the amount of, engineering that's gone into this in terms of managing the water on the site.
Member Kleber, would you like to add some observations, comments, questions?
Yeah, so my interpretation here is in some ways this feels like a self-inflicted hardship where you previously came forward to request the variance to subdivide into 3 smaller lots that it wasn't zoned for and are now seeking to build something over the maximum required coverage. At the same time, generally supportive of building more single-family homes in Braintree. It does seem to be that it fits in with the neighborhood and is well designed, and I appreciate the stormwater management approach that you guys are taking. So cautiously would be supportive, but just want to point out that the hardship is not one that you walked into. It's one that you generated.
Well, I think that the land, if I might, the land configuration itself sloping off of Granite Street was the farm, and the farm, all of those farms up there used to go towards the river, and no one has changed the grades, and it works well. I'll point out that it's very selective that you decide where an acre is going to be. I live in the Braintree Highlands, and Braintree Highlands was singled out more than others because it's not around any water body. It doesn't contribute to any drinking water sources. But they wanted to stop development in the Highlands, so everything on one side of Peach Street, not the other side, one side of Peach Street up to the Holbrook line is under watershed protection. And if the council doesn't, do something about it, some of us are going to do something about it because I think it's germane to answer his question at least.
Okay, I want to stick to the site, though.
No, I understand. But to say that it was inappropriate to have it the same lot size as they are deemed to be conforming lot size because they were granted a variance in 2002. So it doesn't mean that they had a waiver. They are deemed to be conforming under the law.
Yeah, the history is a little different. A little, not convoluted, but it kind of, not exactly a straight line.
Agreed.
But if there are no more comments from the board, I think I would entertain a motion to approve this variance unless somebody feels differently.
Second that?
Why don't you make the motion? Do you have the language?
Let me see.
Public comment was closed. Sorry. I know. I'll try and be more clear about that.
So we, the board, approve the requested variance for the proposed construction of the single-family dwelling at lot 2B at Graziano Drive.
Do we have to say we found a hardship due to lot configuration and, I don't know, site conditions, soil conditions?
Based on the topography of the lot, and its hardship is not detrimental to the neighborhood?
Is that sufficient? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Do we need a roll call? No. Any opposed? The vote was approved.
Thank you.
Thank you. That had a lot of material. I'm going to open the hearing for petition number 2520, which is 9 Woodside Avenue. And if the clerk would read the legal notice, please.
Petition 2520, 9 Woodside Avenue, Stephen D. Carlson, applicant for relief from Braintree zoning ordinance pursuant to Chapters 135, Section 403A and 135, Section 701, to construct a roof overhang to the pre-existing non-conforming single-family dwelling. The applicant seeks a finding as the proposed roof overhang is within the front yard setback at 11.4 feet, where 20 feet is required, 19.3 feet existing.
Thank you. I will make note that all ZBA members present are sitting on this matter. See the applicant? Come on up and state your name and address and present your project. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Stephen Carlson. I'm the property owner at 9 Woodside Ave, where I live with my fiancee Sarah, who's with me tonight, and our daughter Sydney. We're seeking a finding to allow us to build an overhang extension off of the front that's going to extend the existing roof line 8 feet off the current face of the house, which faces west. In the evening and afternoons, anytime after noon, effectively the sun hits that side of the house. We think the overhang, the main living space, is on that west side where we sit. So we're looking to do an overhang to block that sunlight directly. We're also doing an exterior weatherization and siding and roofing, which wouldn't normally require me to be here, but the overhang, because we're an existing non-conforming structure, which we do want to extend further out, we don't think it would look out of place, but we're finding we are in violation, or we need a finding because we're inside the 20 feet.
Thank you. Member Kavanaugh, you have a question?
Yeah, just a couple questions. The plot plan looks like it says proposed platform and ramp. Is that part of the project, or are you just going over that current walkway?
So it won't go any further out than the current walkway. We haven't quite figured out, I would like to do a ramp for handicap access so we don't have steps coming off of the driveway. We haven't quite finalized the design of that. We could do just steps. Right now there's an existing step and walkway up to a landing. So we would have either a ramp or steps, but we would prefer a ramp if we could.
But that's not part of this finding. It's just for the roof. Okay. My second question is, you said that you were going to be extending the roof line. I don't see any elevations, which normally, in terms of what it would look like from the front. Do you have anything that shows that? Or can you explain to me how,
Yeah,
is it a flat roof coming? I have no idea what that roof is going to look like.
Okay. So I don't know, at the front of the dwelling photo, there's a point. Can I hand this to you, I guess, off of the front? So we're gonna extend the front out.
So that gable end is coming out at an,
Yeah, that gable is gonna stay the same height out, which will be 14 feet, which is
Okay.
what it is today.
so it's not a flat roof or anything like that?
No.
Got it.
Over here where the window,
Mhm.
windows are. Could I I ask staff a question? Will he need some kind of relief for his ramp if he's going to do a ramp? Is that, or that's just, no, or could you?
No, based on our zoning ordinance, if it's a handicap accessible, there's no relief for zoning. There's no, it's exempt from zoning. They can access it. It's because of the bump out of the roof is over the 18 inches, it requires relief. It's just the overhang.
Just the overhang, thank you. Do you have any more questions? Member Perez, do you have any questions?
No, I actually drove by the property, and from the way it looks, it's going to be covering pretty much the living room area, pretty much the right-hand side.
Yep,
of the
over
house.
the door to the end of the house.
To the driveway, right?
Yeah,
It's like an
okay.
yeah, it looks like.
Yeah. Okay.
Member Kleber, do you have any questions?
No questions, thank you.
I too drove by, and yeah, it looks like it's pretty much mostly over what's already paved, kind of what goes with the walkway to the driveway. I mean, it extends out a little bit more, and
Correct.
also I understand, you can explain on this, but that this is something that, is not just for comfort, but also is an environmental, benefit for your house, your heating, cooling, and less demand on the grid,
Exactly.
so to speak. So, I understand the benefits of this kind of a improvement. And, it's already a non-conforming lot, and it's not, I'd be surprised if you could notice it very much, maybe a little bit when it's built, because it's already, you've got the roof and you've already got the walkway, and it's extended toward the driveway. I mean, it's already paved.
In your house, it's a little bit like a hill, right?
Yeah, it is. It's on a little bit of a hill,
yeah,
so
yeah.
my foundation is about 3 feet above the surface of the roadway, which I think makes it a little more prettier, for lack of a better term. I think it'll enhance the character of the house.
Yeah.
Is there anyone from the public that would like to speak? I don't think we got any letters on this one. Anybody? I don't want to close the public hearing if somebody thinks they want to say something. Okay, just checking. Do we want to close the public hearing then? I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing on this matter. Would you like to make that motion? Make a motion.
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. I really don't see a negative impact here, and, it certainly is a benefit, to the property. And, I would support a finding for this. I don't know how anybody else is feeling about that.
I agree. I don't think it's detrimental.
I think we can,
I agree. I would have normally liked to have seen a elevation, but I think what he described satisfies. Yeah.
all right. Does the applicant understand, the conditions that would go along with this approval? There are, 4 or 5 conditions, I think.
Yeah.
We're done with that. All right. I will entertain a motion of a finding that this is not detrimental to, where's our language? It's actually in here. I think it's this one. Okay, thank you.
I move to approve the requested finding that the proposed front porch will not be substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood than the existing non-conforming dwelling, subject to the conditions as discussed in the plan presented.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So the motion to approve, this vote is a motion to approve.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. I'm going to open the petition number 25-21, 13 Wood Edge Road. This will be a finding, well, you'll read it, finding in a variance. Clerk will read the legal, please.
Good evening.
Wait, we have to read the legal first, but...
I apologize.
Nope, you're good.
Too
Just
excited.
Petition
Can
number
hang.
2521, 13 Wood Edge Circle, John I'm sorry, applicant for relief from Braining zoning ordinance pursuant to chapters 135, section 403A, 135, section 407, and 135, section 701 to construct a 6.5-foot by 32.5 foot, totaling 211.25 square feet porch, and to construct a second-story addition to the pre-existing non-conforming single-family dwelling. The applicant seeks a finding to construct a second-story addition as the dwelling is within the rear yard setback at 20 feet, where 30 feet is required. The applicant seeks a variance to construct a porch in the front yard setback at 15.4 feet, where 20 feet is required, totaling 21.9 feet existing.
Thank you. I will just note that all ZBA members present are sitting on this matter, and welcome. Applicant, name and address, please.
Good evening. My name is John Machici. I'm the property owner at 13 Wood Edge Circle. I'm here before you to ask permission for relief from the rear setback, a finding on the rear setback, which is currently 20 feet and required is 30, but the dwelling is a pre-existing dwelling prior to 1982, based off chapter 135, 609, C6A, which will allow 50%, a 50% open space and 50% building possibility for the rear setback finding.
So this is, basically you're putting a second story on your house, right?
Yes, it's currently a single family,
And
single floor.
And that's right, you got a little bit of the back, and then the front, which is actually a variance, is an open porch?
Yes, a farmer's porch. So
Farm.
it's an open porch, yes,
Open porch.
which would extend into the front setback.
You guys have questions, comments about this? Member Kleber?
Yeah, just no questions, but one comment.
Yes.
I really appreciated the letters that we received from your abutters. It's clear that you had conversations with them, asked them to provide letters of support. It's the right way to submit an application. It's the right way to approach it in your community. And so thank you for taking the time to talk to your neighbors about this and make sure that you worked with them on designing something that was going to be favorable to the neighborhood.
Of course, yeah, we kind of worked on something that, my fiance and I, on something that would be visually appealing and consistent with the neighborhood. And we believe it was a visually appealing construction, or will be, and will fit in with the neighborhood. And you know, we plan to be here long term, and it's not just, you know, we're not trying to build it and sell it. We're trying to be here long term, expand our family, and be part of the Braintree community for a long time.
Are there any members of the public that would like to speak on this matter? I don't know if, make sure you heard, we did have three letters of support of the neighbors of this project. Is there anyone here who would like to speak on this tonight? Okay. I also, drove by. Did you drive by this one too, remember?
Yeah, I did drive by. And your neighbors on that little cul-de-sac, those are the ones that wrote the letters,
So
right?
the three letters are from the neighbors on my street, and then we did also speak to other neighbors on, you know, houses that are about the back of us and things like that, just to make them all aware of the same, because we will be building a second story.
Yeah.
And we had no issues, but
Yeah.
the letters just came from the direct abutters of the front porch for the variance.
Got it.
I would note, this is a circle, and so it is an unusual shaped lot, I think, so I mentioned, if this were squared off, you wouldn't need a setback variance, so it is.
Correct.
Other people are also on the circle, but you know, your house is situated the way it is, so you can't reorient it to minimize it. You have to work with what you have. And I think going up certainly minimizes, you know, the impacts from setbacks and that sort of thing. So it seems pretty minimal.
The plan was to keep the existing footprint and just go up.
Yeah,
and to
pretty
not
much.
expand into any
Except for the
other
porch.
setbacks, except for the porch, yes, a little bit.
Member Kavanaugh.
Yeah, it looks like the porch is kind of integral to your design. I mean, it would look a lot different without the porch, so
Correct, yes.
I understand why you have it on there. And yeah, it's definitely, you know, on the curve, it's really just that shortest point that that you measure to in terms of the setback, not at the edges, which would be greater.
Right.
Yeah, so that's the worst case scenario, basically, in terms of measuring to the middle.
Well, I think we can vote to close the public hearing. Would you like to make a motion to close the public hearing?
A motion to close the public hearing?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. So I view this as, you know, an improvement to the neighborhood, and, you know, they do have an unusual shaped lot. I think it was pretty sensitive the way they want to, you know, if they want to enhance their property, they want to stay. You know, I think the shape of the lot is unusual enough that it supports a variance, and the finding, I think it's, you know, I think it's a benefit to the neighborhood. The neighbors like it. They want them to stay. We want them to, you know, I like to support that too. Anybody else want to share their opinion?
Looks like a nice house.
Thank you.
Okay, I think we will enter. Well, I think we can do one vote that will support the variance and the finding. I think there was an example of that, yeah. So we can vote them together, since I think we are going to support them both.
Great.
So we, the board, move to approve the requested variance for the proposed porch in single-family house within the front yard setback, to approve the requested finding for the proposed second-story addition based on the irregular shape of the lot. Is there hardship, and the additions are not more detrimental to the neighborhood, subject to the conditions as discussed in the plans as presented.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So the variance and the finding were both approved, and I meant to ask that you do understand the conditions that go with the approval, and you accept them?
Yes.
Well, you have to now, so.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
I think that brings us to the end of new business. Do we want to take a break, or are you guys good? Do you need a break? Okay, we're going to take a 5-minute break. Thank you. Yeah, I mean, everybody wants their signs, they want them. Okay, we're going to reconvene. We're going to continue with old business. Petition number 251573 Beechwood Road, which was continued from a public hearing from July 28th. It did include the public hearing and to allow us to do a site visit, which was held on August 14th. Again, all ZBA members present tonight are sitting on this matter. Let's see, is the applicant here? We looked. Oh, no, you don't have to read it again. The applicant's here. So we did walk and they showed us around the decks, the back and the side. And we haven't received any additional letters, but is there anything you want to add? We did talk about additional fencing or screening that would go up another 6 feet to protect the neighbor on that side.
Yes, I know we'd received a question from the board.
State your name and address again, just for the record. Thank you.
Apologies. Logan Brown, 73 Beechwood Road. I'm the property owner along with my wife. Yes, we received your question about privacy screening on that side of the yard, which we would be happy to do. That was already something we had discussed with the neighbor prior to their letter. We had agreed to it. We have not yet gotten around to it because we've been working through the appeal process.
Okay, so that was, is there anything else that you want to add since the last hearing?
I don't know if there's anything too significant. I know that we had discussed some of the points the neighbor had made in the letter, specifically around furniture and some things like that. I believe they were complaining about an umbrella that blew over, which was actually at ground level at the time, not on the deck. So I don't think that's a particularly relevant complaint to the actual deck variant or finding.
Well, actually, the public hearing is still open. Is the neighbor here? Does the public want to speak on this matter? I know the neighbor couldn't make the last meeting. I didn't know if they were going to have anyone here for this meeting. Is there anyone here that wants to speak while we still have the public hearing open? Okay, good. I just wanted to double check that. Would the other members like to talk about what they thought on the site visit and on any comments, questions, additional points?
I'll say something.
Member Kavanaugh, yep.
My original concern when this came before us was just the proximity to the fence. It was like, what, 3 inches or something. Since visiting, though, I realized that the fence there is tall enough to be a buffer to the abutter. I think that in terms of the abutter's concerns, in terms of privacy, I think that honestly any deck you built would probably, for them, you know, not, you know, keep their, you know, it would be able to be seen by their property, but because their deck is on the opposite side of the house, I think that, right, and I think that even if this wasn't that close to the fence, just the fact of it being a deck would probably, you know, not make them happy, but I don't think that that's something that they can really put on these residents necessarily, because otherwise they wouldn't be able to build a deck. And obviously, I think this is something that you should be able to do on your property.
Yeah, the deck also maintains the same sort of height as the current kitchen and back room, which already have direct sight lines into their backyard, just due to the nature of it being a relatively small lot. So the actual addition of the deck doesn't substantially change sort of what we can see into the neighbor's yard.
Right. And I think that you adding that buffer will help.
the 6-foot fence for privacy on the western side, you're okay with putting that up?
Yep, totally fine with that. I need to ask as far as like the permitting aspect, because it's 6 feet above the deck, which is already above ground level. I need to check with the code and make sure that's acceptable, but I don't know the
You wanna
specifics
speak on
there.
that, Jonathan?
Mr. Dickinson?
Zoning plan through the Madam Chair to the applicant. I would consult with Russ Forsberg, the building inspector, to verify where the height location is for the measurement to see
Okay.
if you need a building permit for that.
I will plan to do that.
Mr. Cleaver, any comments, questions?
Comments? Thank you.
So I think we can close the public hearing now. I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
A motion to close the public hearing?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. So I think, after seeing the site, it does not seem out of keeping with the neighborhood, and I think particularly with the addition of the screen, subject to what's allowed, if it's not exactly 6 feet, but something that will contribute to protect the neighbor on that side, visually, and hopefully nothing's blowing around. Excuse me. But, I think we could support a finding for the deck. Do you understand all the conditions? Did you read the conditions in the report? So you would accept it with those conditions, plus the additional condition of the fence/screen, whatever, the building department feels is appropriate for that.
Yes.
I'll accept that. Okay. I think can I have a motion to approve this finding for this project.
A motion to approve the requested finding that the proposed deck in the yard will not be substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood than the existing non-conforming dwelling subject to the conditions as discussed in the plans as presented.
Plus the additional screen.
Yep, plus the additional 6-foot privacy fence deck that I know that you're gonna have to check and see
Right.
what's code.
Subject to code.
Mhm.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So the motion, this finding was approved.
Thank you very much for your time.
Okay. Put all this away. Okay, the next order of business is to continue petition number 25-14, which is 1139 and 1151 Washington Street. This is a continuation from the July 28th hearing. Public testimony was accepted at that time, and a site visit was conducted on August 14th. All ZBA members who are present tonight are sitting on this matter. So there were a few more letters of support and I think opposed, and there were some questions that were posed to the applicant. So I think I'll invite the applicant up to talk about some of the comments that he was asked to address.
Good evening, Madam Chair. Again, Tom Cavanaugh. I'm an attorney in Quincy, and I'm here representing the applicant. Before I turn it over to Mr. Young, who's going to go through those comments as well as show you the new plans, I do understand, as you indicated, there was a site visit. There was also comments from staff and questions from staff. which Mr. Young has responded to. Not to go over everything, I just wanted to highlight a few things now since that you guys have been to the site. As you know, it's within the 100-year floodplain. It's within the riverfront buffer zone. It's within the wetlands, and it's got varying lot widths, lot depths, and it's a very unique site, and I want you to take that into consideration when you hear Mr. Young and as well as Mr. McKenzie, who is going to speak on this. So at this time, I turn it over to Mr. Young.
Thank you to the board and Ms. Chairwoman. I appreciate you hearing us tonight on this continued application for 1139, 1151 Washington Street.
Could you please remember to state your name and
yes.
again, yes, thank you.
So my name's Stephen Young. I'm Mona River LLC, and I'm the applicant and developer for this proposal. So just to start off by some of the changes since last month. There was an inquiry as to the side yard abutting Jefferson Street. So what we've done here, there's, again, what's required is a 10-foot setback. What we're providing is a 15-foot setback. And the project will now include a layered landscape buffer designed to mitigate visual impacts to the Jefferson Street neighbors. The additional 50% setback provides sufficient space to accommodate this design. Evergreen species such as arborvitae will be planted along the property line to establish year-round screening. Behind these, we will introduce fast-growing hardwood deciduous trees such as river birch to create a second layer of screening between the evergreens and the building. The combination will provide both immediate and long-term visual buffering. There is one large oak tree that, based on our site visit, looks like the root system will be disturbed and that we will lose. However, care will be taken to maintain what other mature plantings, not just in this side yard, but site-wide, especially deciduous, can be saved. This will be further explored in the Conservation Commission. So the landscape buffer is one change there. Another change has been we were asked to consider more, perhaps a different landscape material from what was proposed last month. That was like a stone and a panel system. So what you're seeing here in this new rendering is a horizontal shiplap that's 6 inches in scale, so it's larger than the typical Jefferson Street and Shepherd Road homes, but it's the same horizontal clapboard here. You can see here when you zoom in, and also introduced window trim. I understand this is a more modern context, but just wanted to show these two renderings here how the exterior materials have changed. So back to the wetlands and the green space. The wetlands on site, and I should mention Brad McKenzie can speak at length at this, but the wetlands on site, along with their 25-foot buffer and riverfront area, have been significantly degraded over time due to the historic commercial use of the property, leaving little functional buffer and minimal vegetation to support the wetland interests protected under local and state regulations. Current use of the property to house a fleet of diesel trucks without treatment measures in place further threatens water quality and habitat by allowing contaminants a direct pathway into the resource area. To address these issues, the project will work with a qualified wetland scientist and Conservation Commission to implement a comprehensive restoration plan, including debris and invasive species removal, replanting of diverse native vegetation, creation of a 25-foot vegetated buffer, and installation of stormwater management systems with water and fuel separators to treat runoff before it enters the wetlands. In addition, the project will include compensatory stormwater storage, removing 5 existing structures from the floodplain and reduce flood risks, collectively restoring and protecting the resource area while enhancing water quality, flood resistance, and long-term environmental benefits to the community. How this is tied to zoning is, our hardship is that this site directly abuts the Manaquit River. It contains a very large bordered vegetative wetland in the riverfront area that is a significantly degraded 25-foot no-disturb buffer and is occupied by several structures. In addition, a significant portion of the rear of the site is within the 100-year floodplain, confirmed by the varying topography ranging from elevation 99 feet to elevation 113 feet. These unique topographical and soil conditions introduce distinctive challenges. The challenge lies in balancing A, the creation of a much-needed compensatory flood storage and riverfront restoration, with B, redevelopment of the property for upgraded residential use that aligns with existing multifamily densities while avoiding financial hardship. Proposed design. The parking that's currently under the building is permitted to be located within that 25-foot buffer. Again, this is a balance. By placing the parking under the building, this allows for the above wetland restoration measures, necessitating the building to go up 1 story, hence the number of stories variance. We're choosing between restoring the riverfront and lowering the building by 1 story. That being said, the building along Jefferson Street side is 37 foot high, where 50 is permitted. We are not seeking a variance for height, just number of stories. A solution is to provide desirable relief for number of stories may be granted without causing substantial detriment to the public good, not negatively impacting public health, safety, convenience, or welfare, nor adversely affecting neighboring properties. This approach is directly in line with the town's overall restoration and preservation efforts of the Manaquit River. Another comment we received was regarding density. By removing the non-required affordable units, it enables the overall unit count of 59 to be reduced to 56. This also helps increase the parking ratio and decreases the density and open space calculations. The unit count has been the financial catalyst ensuring the project's viability and ability to secure financing from the outset. As discussed at the previous ZBA meeting, the unit count could be further reduced by increasing the overall number of bedrooms. The following chart outlines breakdown options that maintain the minimum debt service coverage ratio. Notably, the final option eliminates the need for a parking variance, but results in a significant increase in total bedrooms.
Excuse me, is that chart in our,
It is. That's the same chart that you have.
oh, let me find it, thanks. Would you mind if,
Sure.
Member Kleber?
Of course.
Thank you, Chair Rubin. So as you indicated, you took out the affordable units, dropping down to 56 units, correct?
Correct.
However, based on the conversation from last week, the 54, 52, 45, those numbers have not changed from what you shared last time. 45 3-bedroom units, how many of those would be affordable? And
So, good question. All options you see here are assuming no affordable units.
last meeting, these were the numbers that you'd shared, 45 3-bedroom units, for example. So I'd assume that that number would come down if you're taking out the affordable units as well.
These numbers are assuming no affordable units. So these numbers, in order to drop the unit count, and I have that here. So last month was 59 units, or 35 ones and 24 twos. It was 56 units, which was 21 bedrooms and 36 twos. 55 units, 14 plus 40, 54, 12 plus 42, and so on. 52 would be 0 plus 52. So all this is showing is knowing the public sentiment is to lower the unit count. So this is a chart showing no affordable units. And the far right column, that 1.25 being the catalyst that drives the whole spreadsheet, not changing that. The 1 and 2 bedroom units there are what the math is, if that.
Sorry, maybe I'm not making myself totally clear. When we discussed this in the last meeting, you walked me through options for 56 units, 55 units, 54 units, 52 units, and 45 units.
Right.
As I look at this chart here, the 52 units, 2 bedrooms, the 45 units, all 3 bedrooms is what you quoted last time before you took out the affordable units for this meeting. So is that actually 44 or is it actually 43? Because last meeting you said one of the options would be 45 3-bedroom units, and I was assuming that would have included affordable units in the last meeting.
Right. I guess I'm not clear on I have those numbers here, what I provided to, and I guess I'm not sure about the question. So on this Excel spreadsheet, I took out for example, on 59, there were 3 affordable 1-beds and 2 affordable 2-beds. I took those out. So having 59 units with no affordable units, the debt service coverage ratio went up. It was a more profitable project. So by taking those 3 units, by having no affordable units, the project cash flowed better. So I was able to reduce. I just reduced by the number of units to get that 1.25 on the right. So these are the accurate numbers. I hope I'm answering it.
I think I got it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So the important column here is the second from the end, and that's units per acre. This is the most relevant. This is the relevant unit of measure that the town uses to quantify density. And the town has consistently varied from the density bylaw, Chapter 135-705, over the last 20 years, especially when adjacent to Braintree squares and public transit. Recent density relief includes the following projects. Washington Street in Hancock, that's under construction. That's 30 units per acre. By the way, that's what I'm proposing here tonight with 56 units. So that would be the same units per acre as the previous board approved. And that's of note, that project has no wetlands, no topographical challenges, a relatively conventional lot shape, et cetera. 60 Pearl Street, 32 units per acre. 383 Washington Street, 32.5 units per acre. 84 Pearl and French Ave, 34.5 units per acre. Hancock Street, 35. 44 Allen Street, 37.6. Braintree's density bylaws numeric formula is a legacy constraint that the town has repeatedly varied over the last 20 years. The bylaws density criteria would cap as-of-right density far below contemporary projects, but the record shows regular relief both before boards and cited by the Housing Appeals Committee, reflecting an evolved policy practice even if the bylaw has yet to be modernized. Recently, in 383 Washington Street, the Housing Appeals Committee summarized Braintree's projects receiving density relief and found that, quote, comparable or higher densities and relief from Chapter 135-705 had been granted, underscoring that denying similar relief would be inconsistent with how the town has treated other multifamily proposals. The Commonwealth's policy encourages compact multifamily near transit. The proposed 30 units per acre is reasonable, meets contemporary expectations for viable mixed income, walkable housing supply. Another comment we received was regarding parking. So since last meeting, we've adopted, the project team here, we've adopted we've stopped, drawing a blank on a name, not a stacked approach. I'll just read off my notes here. We will offer 90 spots for the proposed 56 units, so the amount of parking has stayed the same. This has helped the spots per unit. It's 1.6 spots per apartment and results in a surplus of 10 more spots per bedrooms. The word I was looking for is here. Parking will be offered on an unbundled basis, which will ensure that spaces are allocated according to actual need rather than a blanket requirement. This means residents who do not own cars will not consume parking spaces, leaving those spaces available for guest parking. This flexible system creates a surplus of on-site parking that directly addresses concerns about overflow onto surrounding residential streets, while also reflecting modern, transit-oriented living patterns not currently considered by the 2.0 spots per unit zoning requirement.
Excuse me, was there a question about visitor parking and how that would be, what would be available for that or how that would be handled?
Right, so the zoning code, the bylaws, I should say, it's a per unit calculation. So to seek no variance, to no relief would be 2.0 per apartment. In the file is a traffic report which does address parking by Jeffrey Dirk from Van Ness and Associates, and that consideration, for example, guest parking, is included in his assessment, which is again in the file. So just like the majority, if the 56 units, the majority of these units are one bedroom. So if these people have guests over, it would be not too different from a single family residence having guests over. There's only so much room in our driveway. There's only so many parking spots on this lot. What we've found is that contemporary projects, contemporary neighboring towns, is that 2.0 is relatively aggressive regarding being close to transit and being being located on the outside edge of South Braintree Square. So we feel confident that the guest parking there via this unbundled approach, it will suffice. There is, for example, a 2-bedroom may want no parking. A 1-bedroom may want 3 parking. So this unbundled approach leaves the surplus for guest parking and is managed on a rolling basis. Hopefully that answers your question. Another concern was the north elevation facing Jefferson Street. 3 changes were made to this north facade, all of them relatively minor, but I think collectively it helps to address some of the concerns. First and foremost, I started with that layered landscape buffer, the 15 feet deep, consisting of both evergreen and deciduous trees that will be hydrated, that will be sprinklered, and that will be maintained by on-site management, and that will be a big help. However, and another consideration was to remove the balcony. So I'd like to explain what I came up with there. The units need to be attractive, desirable, and rentable. Zoning does allow for balconies on all 3 of the living floors here, first, second, and third. I only have them on the third, and they're recessed into the building as opposed to a traditional balcony which projects off of it. Additionally, the guardrail material, you can see in these 3 projections here, has been changed to opaque. So somebody cannot sit on their balcony. They'd have to be standing, and they can't sit in their unit and look down into neighboring properties. So that will help some with the privacy issues. Additionally, as the bedroom windows have been slightly reduced, and we've brought the sill height up on those windows. So those 3 measures collectively, it is a general business zoning that abuts a residential neighborhood. So these items we're mentioning are not controlled by zoning, but it's good practice, and you know, the massing, for example, we have, I'll go to those initial renderings. We have 37.5 feet here at the first home on Jefferson Street. You can see here it slopes down from there, but great care was taken. This third floor does not have to be recessed. That was a design choice in response to abutting a residential neighborhood. Again, it could be 50 feet tall here when it's approximately 38. Could be on a 10-foot setback. It's not. We're looking over here. So great care was taken on the massing to reduce, you know, an overwhelmingly tall, big apartment building here. It was hopefully the design. Hopefully the design speaks for that. Speaks to that, I should say. This is another good view there. So, you know, I'd love to turn it over to Brad McKenzie to speak about any additional questions you have about the wetlands, but I just wanted to respond to the comments, and I didn't also know if the board had any questions post-site visit that we would be happy to answer tonight, because that was just an informational meeting. I'll let Brad speak if you want.
For the record, Brad McKenzie, McKenzie Engineering Group. Those of you who were all at the site visit, you had a chance to review the current state of the property, its blighted condition, degraded areas within wetlands and buffer zones, sensitive resource areas that extend from the Manacoot River, the 200-foot riverfront area, bordering vegetated wetland, the bordering land subject to flooding, which is the 100-year floodplain elevation, which Steve has all talked about. This project will result in huge environmental benefits to the site by providing stormwater controls that comply with current local and state stormwater regulations. Right now, the site does not comply with any of these regulations. All of the parking surfaces and buildings, pools, all contribute stormwater runoff in a sheet flow condition to these sensitive wetland resources, certainly not benefiting the water quality for the river. And in its improved condition, or developed condition, again, will comply with all the stormwater regulations. There'll be stormwater controls. The stormwater will be treated before it's released back into the groundwater aquifer, complying with all the treatment standards, with a series of proprietary stormwater treatment units, infiltration basins to encourage the recharge of the groundwater. There'll be rain gardens, which will be a nice landscape feature in the rear of the parking areas. But again, I talked about all this at the last month when we met, and just want to reiterate the environmental improvements that'll greatly benefit the site.
We have one more thing, Ms. Chairwoman, I wanted to mention. We have a recreation space and a reflection space here, and that's shown at the rear of the lot. At the site visit, I'm assuming you all noticed it's quite wooded back here to currently help to buffer the Shepherd Road residents. We will only be adding to that. Again, we will maintain and protect any specially deciduous trees, any non-invasive species, whatever the wetlands scientist says. But again, this green, this sort of Kelly green, this is a new wetlands buffer. And then outside of that, we have an open space recreation area for the residents there. So I just wanted to point that out. That'll be really nice and very calm, very, very natural space back here for the residents.
Planner Dickinson, were there other questions or comments that were posed to the applicant to respond to? That pretty much covers it. Questions, comments, clarifications before we open it up from the board, from the changes? Member Kavanaugh.
Okay, a few things. You just talked about the open space that was accessible to the residents. Is there any way that you can, that they can access the wetlands area for, you know, in terms of, I know you can't build anything there, but like a path or anything that they can go out and enjoy the woods, or is it just kind of, you know, if they want to go in there, they can? I think that if there's that much space that's open, the residents should be able to access it.
Well, that'll have to be approved by the Conservation Commission. Maybe it's a passive walking trail of some sort down to the river. So again, that's maybe we can propose something like that in connection with the wetlands restoration plan that our botanist is going to, our wildlife botanist is going to work with, hopefully closely with the commission on that plan.
Yeah, I think that would be good. Another thing, I was looking at I was comparing the plans. I don't know if this plan has been updated to the new count, the unit count, because I couldn't tell where those units were removed in terms of the plan. Is this an updated plan?
That plan still shows 59 units. The footprint of the building would not change with those 3 less units.
Okay, so the other units would be bigger square footage-wise?
Correct, yeah.
Okay.
There were some relatively small units on those, but that was the plan, yeah.
So the building's pretty much the same, but the unit count's modified.
Correct.
Can you also explain, in terms of the material choice, the renderings look quite different, which actually I like these better than the first go-around. I think the massing is a little bit better, and it's not as monolithic at the front with the different materials, but is the dark part and the light part of those both the 6-inch clapboards?
Correct. So the center area, which is dark, is the. Let me zoom in here. It's very accurate, actually. So you can see the 6-inch clapboard here. Mm-hmm. So that was one treatment here. The 6-inch clapboard on the main body of the building. Window trim. That was 5.5-inch window trim here, similar to a residential scale. This up on the top recessed floor, the 3rd floor here, recessed floor, that was to be determined. It was just rendered right now as a gray panel. I'm open to suggestions on that. I'm of the opinion it could become too much clapboard. It could become something else. From a design perspective, my intention was to make it dark in hopes that it sort of visually went away. And again, as I've explained at length, the goal here is for this to read as a 2-story building, not a 3.5-story building. That was the visual goal, I should say, which the grade of the site really helps to achieve that, I think.
And then between the windows, like under and above the windows, what's that material?
This would be that same gray paneling on the 3rd floor. So there's a Japanese product, Nichiha. It's manufactured and sold in the States. It just originally came from Japan. So that's a let me see if I can get a better image of it. There will be some division, not just a flat panel, but there'll be some division lining up the mullions there. That was to try and not have it read as so many windows, to have it read as less openings.
And then the board did have special concerns about that north side in terms of the balconies.
Correct, yeah.
Which you addressed by making them solid. Looking at the plan, one of the apartments on that side has 2 balconies, another apartment has 1, and the amenity has 1.
Right.
If you reclaim that space, if you got rid of the balconies, which I would like to see, you could reclaim that space for the apartments and for the amenity, which I'm not sure what that amenity is, if you know
Yeah, I
at
can
this
speak
point.
to that. If you wouldn't mind expanding a little about. So I believe this is the area you're talking about.
Right.
So the amenity space with a lot of smaller one-bedrooms, sometimes that's a couple, and they'll need to take like a Zoom call or something like that. So that's, the amenity space is an open lounge-style seating where people can go to if a spouse is on a conference call or something like that. That's a place for them. There's another very small one down here by the stairs. So you'll see those on each floor. That's a literal amenity for the residents there regarding, if they have a small apartment, they sometimes need to get out of that without necessarily leaving the building. So this one, it did line up with the facade that way. So that the plan there was to have that not be a common roof deck, but to have that be accessible by the residents of that floor. There's no balconies. There's a balcony on the rear corners. There's no balconies on the inside of the horseshoe. There's no balconies on the first floor. There's no balconies on the second floor. So they're just at the corners and then on the side facades. And want to make sure. My goal here is to make these apartments as desirable as possible and to have them all rented. So was hoping to hold on to the balconies, but open to the board's opinion on that regarding privacy for the Jefferson Street residents.
I mean, I think it would be, if those units were bigger because you recaptured that space for the units, I would think that would be desirable for people.
So sorry, just to be clear, recaptured the balcony space as living space?
Yeah, if you enclosed it.
That's a bad, I should go to the elevation here. Yeah, that would, these would grow, these 3 projections here, the rear corner, and the 2 center sections, those would sort of increase the massing of the building if those went to become a living space, and they would interrupt that recessed brow line, if you will, of the 3rd floor. But it's certainly an option. I think those, market-wise, I think those units would be, well, like I said, not every unit in this building has a balcony, but I'm open to adjusting these as it affects the Jefferson Street residents.
That's all I have right now.
Okay.
Member Kleber?
One question related to parking. So appreciate the reason for the floors variance is because you're putting parking essentially underneath the structure to ensure you're not moving too far into the wetlands buffer. But could you show me, were we not to grant the variance for 4 stories and to only give 3, like how far into the buffer would you be going to have parking available?
So, Brad, would you mind coming here a second? So the existing plan here, I believe we're allowed to not worsen it. So if there's paved area and structures, we're allowed to.
What's the question?
Yeah, so I'm reading the answers to the questions that you guys had provided here. And so you shared that the parking that's currently under the building would otherwise be permitted to be located within the 25-foot buffer. So my understanding is the reason that you guys need 4 stories instead of 3 is so that you can put the parking underneath the building. Were we to not approve the variance for 4 stories, you've indicated that the parking would need to be moved inside that 25-foot buffer. And so I'm trying to understand where exactly that is on this site map here.
This plan doesn't have any parking in the 25-foot buffer.
Okay.
This plan does not have any parking in a 25-foot buffer, is what Brad McKenzie just said, and we're the environmental tail that's been wagging the dog. What is the site design of this project has been a conscious effort to pull everything away from the river resource and towards Washington Street, which I know should be clear. Of note, there has not been. This was mentioned last month. There has not been an application in Braintree requesting relief for number of stories where the building has been under 50 feet that has not had one. In other words, to have 16-foot plus floor to ceiling heights would really start to affect the massing and the scale, especially when abutting a neighborhood. So I feel architecturally and from a zoning perspective that the approximate 10-foot floor to floor heights is correct for the neighborhood, but just trying to take advantage of the unique site soil topography. We got a 14-foot grade change. We're trying to do what's right by the environmental and to have, for example, 37.5 feet next to that Jefferson Street neighborhood is, if we lower that by 1 story, the single-family residential home will be taller than the building here. You can see this diagram that was submitted last month. So if this top story here goes off, a multifamily building in general business would be shorter than single family. So, or lower, I should say. It wouldn't necessarily be shorter. Looks like it'd be about the same height, but just wanted to overemphasize the care that's been taken to take advantage of this unique site, soil, and topo.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Member Perez?
I have a couple questions. When it comes to amenities, what are you providing for the tenants when it comes to the amenities that the building will be offering?
Yeah, good question. So the amenity space, there's 2 per floor. There is a gym on the ground floor, which is the parking level, that underground portion. That is not, there is no living space on that floor. The outside play area for reflection space in the newly restored wetlands area back there. And then in addition, this was spoken with the previous staff here, I couldn't affect the parking, but I would be very open to an employee-less cafe. There's some high-end coffee, espresso, cappuccino machines, and something for the residents that would be on that ground floor. So, as far as those, if you can see the drawing here, that ground floor glass area, that would be a gym and a cafe / study space / workspace for residents. I don't know if it's considered many. We do have enough room as well on that ground floor for bicycle storage as well.
Okay.
So my comment was the idea of reducing the affordable units was not just to remove those units, but to remove the need for more units to subsidize those units. I don't see any of that here. I was really trying to get the density reduced in a significant way.
Right. This is, if I don't have, I appreciate that, Ms. Chairwoman, and understand that. What I keep going back to is, if I don't have a buildable project, an affordable project, a project that makes enough money to pay the banknotes plus 25%, then all of this work is out the window. So when looking for recent density measures that the previous board approved, we can see them here ranging from 30 to 38 units per acre. I am at the lowest end of that now with the reduction of those 3 units, should that be the direction we want to go. And so we're at 30.3 units per acre, which abutting transit-oriented development and Braintree Square, I feel with my planning experience and with previously mentioned projects listed here, that is completely commensurate with the town's history, recent appeals decisions, and so on and so forth. Again, at the expense of, and inversely proportional to adding bedrooms, this unit count can go down. All 4 of these proposals here, unit breakdowns, I should say, all 4 of these result in a financeable, pencilable, for lack of better English, project. 56, 54, 52, 45. That being said, the bedroom count, you can see what it does. It goes up substantially, and since Braintree zoning is not tied to bedrooms, it's tied to since Braintree's parking bylaw is tied to units as opposed to bedrooms, this would create a very different project. But all 4 of these, and perhaps this gets back to what you were mentioning earlier, between 56 and 54 and 54 and 52, there are combinations of, it's literally just doing 2 less 1 bedrooms, adding 2 bedrooms, and seeing where that column on the right shakes out. So we do have options here, but again, I've been consistent. Everybody wants I've tried to be consistent with recently approved projects, and I'm trying to get this down as much as I can, and this chart sort of reflects that. It didn't move it a lot because the affordable units, which we call on Braintree a lot, they're 80% of AMI. So a $2,700 1 bedroom will be renting for $2,200. So it doesn't move the needle a lot. I was hoping it would top off 10 units, and as soon as I went into the pro forma, it didn't. And the math is here tonight, and again, that pro forma, I don't mean this the way I'm saying it, but unfortunately speaks for itself.
Okay, well, I think, I know that there are some people here that would like to speak. I would ask, we did hear a lot of testimony. We have read a lot of letters. So I would ask for additional comments as opposed to just reiterating the same comments, and we will still have the 2-minute limit to allow as many people that want to speak as possible. Remember your name and address, please.
Good evening, Madam Chair and board members. My name is Pat Mulcairn, and I live at 12 Ellery Street. I stand staunchly opposed to this project. It does not fit our community, it's too big, and there is not enough parking for the oversized project. The similar projects that he keeps comparing to units per acre is nothing but a fake number. It's not apples to apples. Those developments didn't forever change a neighborhood that they were built in. Our neighborhood was an afterthought for this developer. His parking issue of not complying with 2 spots per unit should not be taken out on me and my neighbors. The way to almost achieve parking requirements is to not comply with stories. Doesn't make too much sense to me. Our neighborhood means nothing to him other than dollar signs. He just said it himself. He knew that what the land was zoned for when he purchased it. His financial goals with that property should not be on the town or the residents' burden. I applaud the neighborhood for coming together and engaging an attorney to fight this in the courts, regardless of tonight's outcome. And as far as the comments about the property not currently complying with local and state law, and the fact the only way to comply is to develop residentially, That may be true, but it's also true of a development that would comply with our zoning. Our environmental well-being should not be a tool used to hold over the zoning board and our neighborhood hostage, because that's what they're doing. They're telling us we either do it or there's an environmental issue in your town. Also, I'd like to thank the developer for displaying his true character for my neighbors in the back of the room as he entered the meeting hall tonight. That's fine. You moved the meeting out of order and then gave us a time limit. Seems a little unfair. To put icing on the cake, now we find out tonight he proposes an employee-less cafe. That's what our town needs, an employee-less coffee shop to hurt all our coffee shops where my neighbors go to work, at Dunkin' Donuts or Mary Lou's, Honeydew, whatever. But let's throw one in where you can just walk in and make your own coffee. No one has a living to be made. I would also like clarity on the board from what constitutes the act of abutting a town square or transit, because I keep hearing that, but I don't consider a 10-minute walk to the town square to be an abutter. If that's the case, there's a lot of places in this town I abut. My property value should show that. Yep,
Okay,
thank you,
thank
Madam
you.
Chair, and I urge the zoning board to do what is right here and deny the zoning change based on no true hardship other than the sale price that he agreed to seems a little bit too high for what he's allowed to do.
Thank you.
I've learned a little, Madam Chair.
Name and
I'm going to be a
address.
little more respectful, not meaning that I was trying to be respectful
Name and
before.
address. Why don't you start?
John G. Higgins, 1217 Washington Street. Grew
Thank
up in the city. I am actually educated. I was just being a little condescending. I saw this gentleman to my neighbor walk by. He shouldn't have done what he did. He was, hey, look at me. I got you guys. No, he doesn't, because we're definitely going to go to court no matter what happens tonight. First of all, I love this town. It's my town. It's their town. He don't give a crap. When he walked by my neighbor, like a little
Excuse
kid.
me, why don't you talk a little bit more about the project? I think that would be more
Okay,
informative.
plain and simple. The
Thank
project
you.
doesn't work in our neighborhood. I don't even know how, talking to my friends at DEP, the Department of Environmental Protection, with a land that's that damaged, could put a residential thing there before having to have all the dirt removed like they did to my company years ago in Boston. Second of all, when my neighbors have family over, I could barely get down the street, but guess what? They have the right. They live there. They pay the taxes. Our neighborhood, not his, not all the strangers, not all these people coming in. Plain and simple. I care about the town. I coached Braintree American Little League. Good to those kids. We care. Money. I need to make money. I've been supporting my family and still work 6 days a week. This is about us. Okay, 30 seconds. This guy's been talking for hours, every meeting. No disrespect. Plain and simple.
wrap it up.
Please, please record this. Oh yeah, Gene Levanti, all the people that work for the news that live here in town, we all know them. Thank you guys, no disrespect, very upset. Doesn't belong, not gonna help the neighborhood. Bicycles. Where do you put a half a car? Where do you put a half a car? I work on cars. I don't even know a half a car that drives. Okay? Money is not everything. Good night.
Good evening. My name is Valine Weeks. I live at 1265 Washington Street. I have been a resident for 30 years, same house on Washington Street. I'm also head of the Dyer Hill Civic Association, who represents more than 150 families who live on Jefferson Street, Shepherd Road, Old Washington, and the surrounding streets to the Dalton Project. You have received dozens of letters from residents who oppose the scale of this project. No one is opposing development, but the development has to be compatible with the existing residential neighborhood. By seeking a variance, the developer is seeking relief from a hardship that he himself has created. If the board grants this hardship, the developer, this would be creating a very detrimental impact on several of the direct abutters as well as the entire neighborhood, and creating a very dangerous precedent. And for the record, the Dye Hill Civic Association would like to just make you aware that if this variance is approved, members of the Dye Hill Civic Association are prepared to appeal this decision, and residents are currently raising funds to pay for the litigation. Thank you.
Hi, Liz Page, 137 Stores Ave. I'm also a co-president of the North Braintree Civic Association. Thank you, members of the board and the planning staff. I appreciate the ability to speak here tonight. And I could go on and on for a half hour on this tonight. I took some notes on the changes that they discussed. And an expression comes to mind, lipstick on a pig, okay? It's insulting to the residents. It really is. They discussed making it more compatible with the residential neighborhood by putting window trim. Really? Are we supposed to feel like that makes it look like the rest of the residential neighborhood? Also, expressions that I've heard several times tonight were contemporary, close to transit, the outside edge of Braintree Square. Well, the outside edge of Braintree Square basically will consist of Route 37. If you do this here, so you're going to be doing it all the way down Washington Street to every neighborhood in this town. Neighborhoods are not being protected. And I want to add with, we have come here tonight to ask this board to very carefully consider the gravity of the impact of tonight's decision that it may have on a neighborhood, on some residents who directly abut this proposal. These abutters will be extremely detrimentally impacted if the applicant is granted this variance. This applicant is claiming a hardship. Well, I ask you, if this applicant received this variance, then who will remedy the hardship of the residents, of the direct abutters? These are the largest investments of these residents, probably the biggest investment of their lifetime, and their property values will plummet if this proposal is allowed to overshadow and overwhelm their homes. A little bit of window trim isn't going to take care of that. We hope you will weigh the significance of this project and reject the request for this variance. Okay, thank you. I hope you make the right decision tonight. Please say no. Thank you for your time.
Hello, good evening. My name is Ashley Duffy. I'm at 1356 Washington Street, or Old Washington. I live in the house I grew up in. My kids go to the same school I went to. I teach at Hollis. My husband teaches at high school. So I'm just saying that to say that I'm not just invested in this neighborhood, but in the town overall. I spoke with Mr. Young back at a community meeting back in the spring, and I had concerns over the development. Some of the concerns considered were that he was comparing apples to oranges. He was considering the variances at Pearl Street, Allen Street, Hancock Street, similar to the one at Dalton, which is not true. They're not abutting neighborhoods. I feel like that is completely unfounded. I also think that the neighborhood that we are living in is not conducive to this size development. We are, for the most part, a single-family, with exceptions, multifamily neighborhood. Oh, I'm sorry. Are you speaking? We are a very tight-knit community, and it's wonderful. That development is oversized. It's going to be an atrocity on the fire, the police, the DPW, everything. And I know you have no say over that, but that is what is going to happen. We're talking about closing schools right now, and you want to add in this development on top of Armstrong and Pearl Street and Allen Street and Hancock Street. It's development, development, development. I am all for pro-development that builds the town. This is not going to. Okay, thank you very much. I also, just to add, like, when it comes to traffic, I don't let my kids, I have a 13-year-old and a 9-year-old, I don't like them going in the street after 5 p.m. because the amount of traffic in our neighborhood, cut-through neighborhood, is insane. One of my students was actually hit a few years ago. So it just, nothing about this makes sense. Put in a medical facility, put in something that would bring revenue to the town, because $124,000 a year is not going to offset what this development is going to bring. So thank you very much.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the Zoning Board and the staff. My name is Stephen Carl, 60 Rita Road, Braintree. I was the former chairman of the previous Zoning Board. I have several things I'd like to say, and if I do run out of time, I'd ask someone to relinquish 30 or 40 seconds to me. Number one, they're still requesting 4 variances, which is quite a large number for a project. Number two, they can rearrange all the units for different 2 and 3 bedrooms. The structure itself is just too big, in my opinion. They now have some visitor parking. They're having 56 units and 6 visitor parking spaces, which is, in my opinion, quite low. Their financial issue is not the town's issue. It's their issue. For the price of the land they're paying has nothing to do with us. For the cost of the structure to build has nothing to do with the zoning issue. It does negatively impact the public good of that area and is detrimental to that area. If you look at where it's going, take into consideration of where it's going. I ask you not to leave your common sense and good judgment at the back door. Thank you. Something will go there, but it has to be reasonable in nature and size. And I suggest to you that what this proposal is does not meet that. They happen to be nice people. I have nothing against them. It's the structure and the size of where it's going and what they want to put there. Thank you.
Hi, Rob Kadayer, 306 Washington Street. I'm here in opposition to this project, and based on precedents, at the last meeting, this board denied a single variance for a family that wanted to expand a garage at the end of a dead-end road, which also was supported by the only neighbor. Now, once again, this developer, uncompromisingly, is again seeking 4 variances to shove an apartment complex double the size of what it is otherwise zoned for on the lot in question. And unlike the previous one, this has virtually zero support from the neighborhood. I spent much of the day yesterday and several days over the last couple weeks talking to neighbors in the area, and not a single one was in favor. The design is not harmonizing with the surrounding area, again is far too large, and as previously stated by a member of this board, this project cannot be approved. He hasn't changed anything. The design, the size, and the impact are all the same. Aside from cutting the affordable units, which adversely affects the safe harbor count in this town. For most homeowners, their house is their single largest investment. This project will adversely affect the adjacent neighbors, forever ruining their views, their privacy, and further exacerbating the already nightmarish traffic in the area. Why should those residents who've lived there, built their lives there, and paid taxes there be forced by their town's government to sacrifice their home's value, their futures perhaps, to help a wealthy out-of-town developer make his money? If that's the case, it shows that the developers are prioritized by this board and by the administration instead of the residents whose interests should be paramount. I've often stated that developers should be treated the way that a resident would. If any of us came before the board seeking this number in the scale of the variances, we would be laughed out of the room. None of them would got the variances, and based on precedent, they wouldn't. Approving this project would send a signal, an astonishingly clear signal, that there is a two-tiered system in this town, one for residents and another one for big money out-of-town developers. A system, and unfortunately a town government, that prioritizes developers at the expense of the residents. Again, why should the developers take a hit just so some wealthy developer can get his way? All it takes is one of you to vote no and to do what is right. Stand with the residents of Dyer Hill, the Braintree residents who this board is supposed to work for. Vote no on this project. Thank you.
Last call for public speakers. Oh, here's a couple. No, go ahead. Come on up.
Hi, my name is Donna Dalton, and I live in Highland. Where do I live? Maplewood Terrace in Highlands. I'm actually pleasantly surprised with the new pictures that he brought, because I was a little skeptical coming in all honesty. I like the new diagrams. I like the changes in the balcony. I thought that the recessed third floor worked really well. But mostly what I wanted to talk about was the Jefferson traffic, which I was surprised that people, well, they've kind of brought it up again, but not really. I lived in 1139 Washington Street, which is part of the property, for 10 years. We owned it for 20. And I would never have thought once to go around the property to get to where I lived. It doesn't make any sense. So as someone who's actually lived there, it's not a cut-through for us. I understand it's a cut-through for a lot of kids that go to the high school, kids from the Highlands and stuff like that, but it's not a cut-through if you actually live on that property. I had a couple of other things. I can't read my own writing now. I think the pulling back, because I went through the site walk with you guys too. I think that the pulling back on the right-hand side was at the north side, and the extra arborvitaes, I thought that was a great idea. We actually planted arborvitaes when we needed to in our current home, and it does make a huge difference. They're there all year round, which is great. So that, along with the other trees, I thought that was an improvement of the plan. Okay. And I didn't understand a couple of the questions that you guys had, but it may be I couldn't follow because I couldn't hear very well. But as I said from the beginning, I've been a little skeptical about it myself. I wasn't sure if it was too big, if it would fit in with the town, but I actually liked the changes I saw tonight. I thought that it showed that he was listening. And I didn't say anything to anybody else when they were up here. So I appreciated that some changes were made. Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
My name is Robert Tomer. I live up the street on Central Ave. I was here when you people were vetted by the town council. I heard every instruction they gave you on what to consider to deal with things like this. I saw the last two meetings, the only time I've been to a ZBA meeting. I saw that you took care of the resident issues. This monstrosity should have never got this far. The last board was removed because they were against it, because there are way too many detriments to it. How is that not a hazardous waste site? And you guys have it in reverse. You're supposed to have they're not supposed to have any leverage. The town's supposed to have all the leverage. If it's a hazardous waste site, they're gonna fix it if they get the development approved. Where else does that happen? Only in Braintree? I know you guys serve at the pleasure of the mayor. The other thing that bothers me is there isn't one town councilor here Julia Flaherty represents this area, and all three of the councilors at large. They're not here because they don't want to be here. You guys are here because you have to be here, because you all serve at the pleasure of Mayor Joyce. She's the problem here. This does not belong here. If it's a hazardous waste site, what the hell are we doing, even considering developing it? And you're giving them advice on how to do all of the building materials? Really? I'd be more concerned about what's going on down there with Dalton now, because that stuff's going into the Manatequit River. That's floating down the street to where Armstrong Cork's going to go. That poor fish ladder is going to be bothered by the hazardous waste that isn't being fixed. You're worried about building. Thank you. You're worried about money? Yeah, I'd be worried about the environment first. The town, we live here. I wouldn't be worried about the fish. I'd be worried about the people who live here. We'll get money from other sources, not from this guy. If the guy can't afford to put up something that will confine with what's there, then he should go away. And you guys should say no. You should do your job and not yield to the mayor. You should yield to the town.
Okay, it looks like we've had enough speakers. Last call for speakers.
Hello, my name is Sheila Cochran. I live at 1258 Washington Street, what's referred to as Old Washington Street. I also operate and own a business on Stores Avenue. What has become remarkably clear, and I have been at most of these meetings with the prior board and well with the new board, the size of this project remains the same. We may play a shell game of how many units they're going to be, and you will notice when those unit numbers come down, those bedroom numbers come up. The developer has been very clear with you. The size of this building, he will only build it if it's financially reasonable for him. And he has already told you the size of this building is the only way it's going to be done. It doesn't belong in this neighborhood. He mentions that there are various times that variances have been granted by prior boards. There were 4 variances he's looking for this project. Some of those projects didn't require 4 variances. I know you have no control over what else is going on down at the registry, but this neighborhood, a half a mile radius, 753 units are going there. The Hancock project have already approved 30 units. 56 more units is going to crush this neighborhood. It's going to crush Highlands Elementary. It's going to seriously impact South Elementary, as well as the high school. This project should not be approved. And we ask for that the board seriously consider your responsibilities. And you've mentioned your responsibilities, and I appreciate it. Each time you have an applicant before you, you talk about it. But the standard for your finding shall not be substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood than the existing non-conforming structure. This is substantially more detrimental, and we ask that you do not approve this project. Thank you.
Okay. Is there any more questions for the applicant before we close the public hearing? Anything, Angela? No? Angela's looking, I'm just making sure. You okay? Any comments from staff? Okay. Yes, the applicant. Come on
up. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to point out something I pointed out last month and I didn't. Whether this project gets approved tonight or not, the vast majority of what the neighbors are objecting to is what's allowed in a general business district. I'm not here seeking I'm not here seeking a height variance. I'm not here seeking a setback variance. I am allowed to cover 65% of, allowed to cover 70% of the lot. I'm covering 32%. Previously approved project on Hancock Street, maximum lot coverage 90%, 65% of that was covered. You're right, it's not the same. This is a more unique situation. It abuts the wetlands. There's a unique site shape. There's a 14-foot topographic difference. Former Chairman Carl should know better than anyone that density makes sense. And as evidenced by their previous approvals of 30, 32, 34, 35, 38 units per acre near Braintree squares. The numbers speak for themselves. The amount of guest parking is not 6 spots, it's 10 guest spots. And Jeffrey Dirk from Bass Associates thinks that, and he is a traffic engineer, he feels that that will be substantial enough. So I just wanted to make sure that Hancock Street is next to a residential development. These are projects, they are comparable, and that's why I'm bringing them up.
2 minutes. No shouting, please. Thank you.
Thank you.
Use my name.
10 minutes now.
Hey, no more shouting from the audience, please. Just please, thank you.
Have a little courtesy, please. He did use my name. I think I'm entitled to a rebuttal. The projects he was talking about were considered to be either in a village overlay district or on the border of the village overlay district at that time. He said 10 parking spaces. I heard 6. He's probably correct. But the building is not properly sized for where it's going. And I don't mean to, the previous board with years of experience could not get one single vote in favor of this project. So what did they do? I resigned because I was sort of asked to. And then the other board members followed me. And now we have a new board. And then they resubmit it in the exact same situation that it was in. It's a backdoor play. And I'm asking you, please consider the years of experience that were here and what happened and whether or not this structure is detrimental to the neighborhood, substantially detrimental to the neighborhood. I would cordially ask you to deny this project. Thank you.
Okay. I will entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
A motion to close the hearing?
All in favor? Aye. All right. What do you guys want to say? Deliberation. There are 4 variances that are requested. But I would say that we discuss the project as a whole, because if one variance is not considered acceptable, then there's no point in doing all the others. So I guess I would like to see what the board thinks, if there's any of the variances that you think do not meet the hardship. Because if that's the case, then we should advise the applicant. What do you want to say? Anything? are you supportive, or are you of all four variances?
I could be. I can discuss if you would like to discuss.
Well, that's what we're here to discuss. I mean, we have to deliberate, and we have to either vote, or we have to, well, we have to take an action of some kind. Oh, okay. Is that better? Member Kleber?
Obviously not voting on this application, but happy to share some of my observations and thoughts to the extent that it might help to spur some conversation amongst the board. I think there's two of the variances that I look at. First, I want to talk a little bit about parking, which I do have some concerns about. However, I would be inclined to grant the variance for parking, as I believe that more 1 and 2 bedroom apartments would have a smaller impact on the community and on the town and on our resources here. Were this project to be moved to 45 3-bedroom apartments, they would no longer require a parking variance if they were to come back with that application. And I think that it's fair to say that we likely would have a preference for 1 and 2 bedroom apartments over 3-bedroom apartments, given the sheer number of bedrooms that project would create. Similarly, the variance for stories, given that the building height is not an issue with this project as it relates to our zoning bylaw. It's not. Someone can come in and build a building that's bigger than this one or taller than this one, and they wouldn't need a variance for it. Where they are asking for variance is for the stories, 4 stories. I do appreciate that they put the parking on the first floor in order to not have to move parking any closer to the wetlands, and it's going to result in more wetlands restoration. That seems like a benefit to the community and to the neighborhood. And so I'd be inclined to grant the variance for stories. Really what this comes down to for me is the variance that's requested on density and the variance that's requested on open space per dwelling units. And I keep going back to the 3 bedrooms as a test for this, right? Because I don't think that's what we want for this project. The open space per dwelling units, if they were to move to the 45 3 bedrooms, I believe you have to check my math. I think it's somewhere around 90,000, give or take, where they have 34,000 available. Or no, it would be, the required is 118,000, and it would be 45 times 2,000, 90,000, right?
I'm not following you. Say that again?
Yeah, sorry. So I'm trying to do the math on where they did go with the 3 bedrooms.
Oh.
It would be 2,000 square feet per unit is what's required, which is 90,000 square feet of open space. What they currently have proposed right now is 34,170. Similarly with the density, that's well outside of the range, but there's precedence there based on prior projects that were approved. And so I'd advise the board to focus their conversations on those 2 areas, open space and density, because I think those are the more serious variances that have been requested here.
Thank you. Anybody else want to talk about density?
My fundamental issue here is the scale and the density of the project. I think that the units being requested is excessive for the site, and it's inconsistent with the intent of our zoning bylaws. I would prefer, 2 more bedroom units instead of 3s, but definitely that number needs to come down substantially in order for it to work. Something in the mid-40s could be something that could be acceptable to achieve the balance for the site, in my opinion.
Member Kavanaugh?
I agree with Mr. Kleber in terms of the precedent of what has already been built in town in terms of the density. it's not just one project, it's multiple projects that would have been approved. So that's a consideration. Also, another consideration is there's new zoning, I think it's MBTA 3, Red Line Village, which is a 1/10 of a mile away if Google Earth is correct.
The stone's throw.
Right. And that's a 35 unit per acre zoned area, which is very close, arguably in the same neighborhood. So I think that, yes, it's a bordering property to a residential neighborhood, but it's also bordering many businesses and a more dense area. It's right on the border there, so I don't think it's necessarily that out of character. I also think that walking the site was very useful because it was, you could really visualize how big the site was. So that's my comments about density.
Well, I agree with a lot what people are saying. My big issue is when it comes to the density/open space, I just don't see the hardship. Where is your hardship? And I don't really, please, it's enough. And I mean, I can make arguments either way. I mean, I like the project, but I don't see where the hardship is for that density. I think you've done actually a nice job with the parking and with the wetlands. I like the way you've done that. You know, I think the main issues, you know, some of the issues I don't think fall within, you know, what we can really comment on, like, excuse me, certain traffic and that sort of thing. But I just, I don't see how we justify a hardship when it comes to density. I think really, you know, like with Member Perez, that you really haven't come down a lot to show that you could be a little more sensitive to that and reduce the need for variances is a big ask. And like I said, some of the other ones I can see because of the nature of the site, but the density hardship, I just don't see.
Can I get some clarification from staff in terms of the wording of the variance? Because I believe financial hardship is a hardship. Can you just read it so we...
I think it has to do with related specifically to the site conditions. Like if it were ledge or something, and you had to blast or something like that, right? I'm sorry.
want to make sure
Councilor Murray.
If I may. First and foremost, let's just back up. There's no entitlement to a variance. That is something that's entirely... Please don't. Please.
Just let us speak. Thank you.
It's purely within this board's discretion as to whether or not you want to grant it. But you were absolutely right. The variance has to be based on something related to the shape, soil, and topography of the lot that's unique to this lot and not generally affecting other lots in the zoning district that creates a hardship. And it can be financial or otherwise. But having said that, when you actually look at the case law about what does the financial hardship mean, there's a difference between a hardship that perhaps because we'll take the wetlands, for example, and because you need to avoid or have a certain buffer from the wetlands, you have to pull the development away from the wetlands. And maybe as a result of that, the whole building pushes closer to the street. Or as you talked about, the topography, the slope of the site, that might result in a higher number of stories on one side. Those are things specific to the shape, soil, and topography of the site that is unique to the site and that would otherwise, if you tried to comply with zoning, would create some sort of a hardship. There's also case law that talks about a self-created hardship. And in other words, if just because someone has certain expectations for perhaps a rate of return on their investment, that in and of itself is not a hardship. So I hope that addresses the question.
Any more discussion among the board? Questions for our expert panel? I don't think it looks like there, oh, what would,
Madam Chair, with that, we'd ask to withdraw the petition without prejudice.
do we vote on that? Stop. No, the applicant can withdraw, I believe.
The applicant?
If the applicant is
The
requesting
applicant can
withdrawal.
withdraw if the board allows the withdrawal.
So, shh, quiet. Do we vote on that? Okay. Would
Yes.
someone like to entertain a motion to allow the applicant to withdraw the petition? Make a motion?
Yeah, I'd like to motion to allow the board to vote to withdraw,
Yeah,
for the applicant to withdraw.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
The application is withdrawn, and well, I'm sorry, would staff like? Oh, we're going to vote, we're going to do this again and make sure that it's complete, or is, we just have to say the vote is to withdraw without prejudice?
If that's what you're accepting, yes.
So we're voting to withdraw without prejudice.
Okay. Second, all in favor?
Aye.
So the decision is the application is withdrawn without prejudice. And that concludes this. I think the next order of business is approved minutes. Administrative items. Don't go far. Don't go far. Oh, I thought you were going away. Okay.
You couldn't get there, huh?
I'll tell you later. We're not done yet. We still have to do our minutes. Yep, yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
Go ahead, make a motion.
Oh, I'll make the motion to approve the minutes
Second.
of July 28th.
July 28th and August 14th.
And August 14th. Second,
Second.
all in favor, aye.
Aye.
And I think we'll entertain a motion to adjourn for the evening.
Yep.
I'll make the motion to adjourn for the evening. Second,
Second.
all in favor.
Aye.
Thank you.
Meeting's adjourned at 10:01 p.m.
Say it.
Meeting is adjourned.